Reese attacks Stevens high off glass. Big lineup for Noah Henry. Reese and Austin play together. Reese.
Young matched up. Reese is fed. Missed it. Grabs her all miss. Back to work against Thomas.
I wasn't going to talk about this. I wasn't going to point this out again. Matter of fact, when several of you guys sent me these clips last weekend, I intentionally didn't talk about it because it gets kind of boring making fun of Angel Reese for something that she really can't control. It's not her fault that she's allergic to making layups. It's not her fault that she is one of the tallest women on the court and she struggles to shoot over Muggsy Bogues. It's not the Bayou Barbie's fault that she can't even pretend to play basketball. There's only so many times that you can see me bounce. There's only so many times you can see missed layups before it loses its appeal. It's no longer funny. It's like seeing two dogs on the side of the road bumping boodles. When you ride by the first time, look over there, Banjo's pounding that ass. Of course, Banjo would not be fornicating with my two Yorkies. Oreo and Chew, they've got something in common with Keith Olbermann. Katie Boo! They pee sitting down, and they are remaining pure for life. When you ride by Banjo pounding the bongo the second time, it's not as amusing. By the third time, the fourth time, you don't even notice. It's the same thing with Angel Reese and her comedy routine that is disguised as pretend basketball. Initially, it was funny. Initially, it was somewhat amusing or entertaining, but after a while, it just gets boring, which is why I didn't talk about it last weekend. But once again, the mainstream media just can't help themselves. Once again, the media is polishing the turd, and they are presenting Angel Reese as something she's not. Headline at Sports Illustrated. Angel Reese unrivaled debut ratings draw attention. This woman is amazing. Her immaculate return was incredible. The prodigal daughter has returned to save this struggling dump. Woohoo! Yes, yes, yes. Believe it or not, I actually like Angel Reese. I remember 3 years ago when LSU won the national championship, everyone was criticizing Angel Reese, including the mainstream media. They were criticizing Angel Reese for taunting Caitlin Clark. That's not very ladylike. What happened to sportsmanship? I came to the defense of Angel Reese. I thought the taunting was acceptable. It was damn sure entertaining. Caitlin Clark is a notorious shit talker. There was nothing wrong with Angel Reese returning the shit. Angel Reese had the potential to be a huge draw for the WNBA. But Casey, she already is. Angel Reese is a huge star. Angel Reese is a star. She's well known, but there is a huge difference between being a star and being a draw. There's a huge difference in being known and being a box office attraction. There was a point when Angel Reese had the potential to be box office. Now, there are a variety of reasons as to why she's not, but one of the main reasons is because the mainstream media tried to force people to like Angel Reese. Instead of allowing her to grow organically, the media tried to put her on the same level as Caitlin Clark, when the reality is, Angel Reese is not on that level, and that's not my opinion. the ratings for her debut with Unrivaled prove Angel Reese is not a mainstream draw. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. So I get to the sponsor for today's video, my good friends at Fluff or Noggin. I'm not a big snacker. I don't eat a lot of junk food, but there are times during the week when I'm too busy to stop and eat lunch, and I need something quick and easy, but also filling enough to get me to dinner. One thing I have found that fills me up: beef jerky. Problem is, a lot of beef jerky tastes like you're biting into a flat tire. Good news is, I no longer have that problem because I started buying gourmet beef jerky from Fluffer Noggin. Now you're probably wondering, what the hell is a Fluffer Noggin? Fluffer Noggin is gourmet beef jerky that is 100% made here in America. You don't have to worry about consuming foreign cows because all these cows are homegrown. Each recipe from Fluffer Noggin is handcrafted with the perfect amount of seasoning. First beef jerky I've ever tasted that literally melts in your mouth. Fluffer Noggin comes in a variety of flavors ranging from mango habanero, Korean barbecue. They've even got a flavoring of craft beer. Or if you're like me, you'll just stick with the original style flavoring. So click the link in the description or the pinned comment below. Use my promo code BTL30, BTL30. Receive 30% off your first purchase with Fluffer Noggin. Throughout the season, the media has tried to convince us that Unrivaled is thriving. These women are incredible. They sold over 20,000 tickets in Philadelphia. Wowzer! This league is making money hand over the fist in my ass. A couple of weeks ago, it was reported that Unrivaled was valued at $340 million. Now, I double-checked just to make sure they were talking about dollars. I wanted to be sure they weren't trading in pesos or Ethiopian breadcrumbs or the preferred currency in the WNBA, the Vietnamese dong. To someone, and it damn sure ain't Uncle KC, Unrivaled is worth $340 million. Now, if I were to give this league a valuation, it would be closer to $340. And that is me being generous. But supposedly, a league that generated $25 million in revenue last year and $0 in profit, somehow that league is worth $340 million. Obviously, this is another example of polishing the turd, but the point is, the media is trying to convince us that Unrivaled is thriving. If they were thriving before, they should damn sure be thriving now because last weekend, their only star made her immaculate return. Well, Uncle KC, what about Paige Buckner? She's a big star. Paige Buckner's is another example of the media trying to create a star. If you're a women's basketball player, the last thing you want is support from the mainstream media. They have been trying to create stars for years, and the only star in women's basketball is the one player that the media hates. Before the immaculate return of Angel Reese, Unrivaled was struggling to average 150,000 viewers. Hell, some games were struggling to reach 100,000. With a star of this magnitude returning, you would think, at minimum, Unrivaled would reach 200,000 viewers, right? What about 175,000? 160,000. That should be doable, right? The return of Angel Reese drew 130,000 viewers. And look, this says a hell of a lot more about Angel Reese than it does about Unrivaled. There are no expectations for Unrivaled. This dump is likely to be out of business as soon as TNT can get out of their contract after next season. This is also why the WNBA is so hesitant to overpay players. When the casual audience thinks about the WNBA, they think about Caitlin Clark and they think about Angel Reese. Well, that's not true. What about Asia Wilson? What about Kelsey Mitchell, Jackie Young? Who, and who? There are 2 players in this league with mainstream name recognition. Problem is, only one of those names has value. Only one of those players is capable of attracting a mainstream audience. I know WNBA players have deluded themselves into thinking that they are using Unrivaled as leverage. They're using Unrivaled to negotiate higher salaries than the WNBA dump. But their delusional plan has backfired. What Unrivaled has really done is prove that none of these other players can draw. None of these other players can generate interest. We are 2 years into this experiment. We are 2 years into this league that no one asked for. Last year, they couldn't draw flies to a fresh turd. This year, they have proven that old saying to be correct. If a turd falls in the forest and no one is around to smell it, does it have a smell? No one knows because no one is watching Unrivaled. 2 years ago, Angel Reese proudly accepted the role of the ultimate villain. The media was pitting Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese against each other, and Angel Reese accepted the role. Every hero needs a villain. Every likable star needs a heel to work with. Michael Jordan had Isaiah Thomas and the Detroit Pistons. The New York Knicks, they had Reggie Miller. 15 years ago, the NBA experienced a massive spike in ratings when LeBron James became the biggest villain in the league. Being the villain can work, but if you're going to be the villain, it's got to be believable, which means you've got to be a real threat. You have to be able to win. And I'm not talking about winning meaningless games in Unrivaled. No one's watching that garbage. You got to be able to win in the premier pretend basketball league in this country, which is the WNBA. In 2 years with Angel Reese, the Chicago Bravado are 23-61. That's not a villain. It's a bad team. Now, whether or not Angel Reese can become a draw, that remains to be seen. But most of the time, it's hard to recreate that initial magic. Once the illusion wears off, it's hard to get people to buy back in. Zion Williamson used to be a major star. Now, he's never featured on national television. 3 or 4 years ago, Ja Morant was becoming a mainstream draw. Hell, Ja Morant was looked to as the next face of the NBA. Today, you never hear about him. This is what the WNBA is worried about. They are worried about their complete reliance on one player because of the lack of other stars. In this experiment with Unrivaled, it is proven that these other players are not stars. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys tomorrow.